Hey folks, we are at the top of the hour. Welcome to the May Microsoft 365 Copilot Community Call for Government. All right, with the community, we have our community liaisons, Jack Elmore, who's based in the West, myself, Jason Johnson in the West, Jeremy and Stacy, who are East-based, and Grant Oliasanti, who is based in Central. We are the fine team that helps to bring this to you every day or every month, and we are happy to do so. And I'm just going to double check on something real quick. Sorry, guys. Okay, we are getting the button mashed. Cool. I want to make sure there wasn't a bunch of people sitting in the queue. All right. So what is the community? With the community, hopefully everybody has accepted your invitation to the Microsoft team that goes with this. We prefer to socialize upcoming events like today's special event with Rima Reyes, where we're going to get deep on all things where we're at today with agents. That team is our primary mechanism for communication for that, and you are welcome to share and collaborate with your peers within that team. Who's doing what, ask questions, anybody seen this, etc. There are channels in there to utilize. Please feel free to use it. We welcome your feedback. We'd love to hear what's top of mind for you. It's a great way to get information back to this team to help us know what's important in your worlds right now and what we can do for content and upcoming sessions to get information out for the community, right? Sarah, we record every session and we do a posting. There's a link I'll share here when I get done with my spiel, and I will put it in there that allows you to go back to all the session recordings. So with that, before we get into the bulk of the content today with Rima, I am going to hand over to Grant Oliasanti for a second, who's going to share with us a Microsoft co-sponsored offering that's available exclusive to our SLG customers.
Yeah, Jason, really appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And as Jason mentioned, I'll be speaking really briefly here about a free training opportunity available to all of our SLG customers here in this community, and with Copilot Chat coming out pretty soon here, we'd like to get ahead of the inevitable adoption curve that typically takes place, and just bring to your attention this program from our partners over at Brainstorm. So, as you know, the value of AI tools like Copilot, it depends on your users consistently using them and building those foundational skills early on. So to support that, we have partnered with Brainstorm to provide a no-cost training experience focused on helping your users become confident and productive with Copilot Chat. So the program includes, and you can see on the slide here, some bullet points. It includes basically curated learning content. If you're familiar with the Brainstorm platform, you can push out awareness campaigns, invite your users to live events hosted by Brainstorm. Right, and the idea here is just to help you get the most out of Copilot Chat. It does include some M365 content as well. This offer, it is, you may see some material that says it's available for 12 months from the time of sign up, but I've been told that the expectation is that this will be extended indefinitely. It doesn't require a purchase. It doesn't require a license commitment. It's just designed to help you and your users, explore Copilot Chat from a self-service type of format. So if you're interested, there is a link, and I'm assuming, Jason, that this deck will be shared, that link up at the top left. If you click on that, it'll take you to this SLG sign-up page. So over to you, Rima.
That is correct.
Yes.
I'm going to put Rima's quick title slide up here, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and take over sharing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Hey, everyone. So yeah, if there's questions in the chat, if other Microsoft folks online can actually help answer that or flag them for me, that'd be great. But yes, welcome to building your first agent in GCC. This is going to be a fun one. I'm actually going to do a live build with folks. In the slides that I'm going to go through, do not worry, I will provide them at the end, so that way you can follow along with me, and I have all the instructions and the entire how-to there as well. So yes, my name is Rima Reyes. I am actually a principal product manager at Microsoft under the Microsoft Copilot and platform ecosystem team known as CAPE. I work with strategic customers and US Gov customers as the technical SME for all things agents and Copilot and Copilot Studio. So it's been a fun ride, and like with all the two things that are happening right now. So weekends are fun, just trying to catch up and making sure, hey, like, did I get the latest announcements? Am I incorporating that into everything that I'm talking about with customers? And so, yes, I do live in the Washington, D.C. area. So if there's any Gov customers in the area, feel free to say hi. Again, happy to visit as well. Any agencies, as I've had a long history in Gov, working not just at Microsoft. I used to own teams for US Gov, but I also did consulting with all these Gov agencies. I worked at the White House previously, and I've also worked at Northrop Grumman supporting some of our IC community agencies as well. So fun times in DC with US Gov. So I love Gov. So here's our agenda today. So I'm going to talk really quickly about an introduction to agents in GCC. I'm going to go through the tools for building agents, and then we're going to actually run through building our first agent. I will build it live, and then I'll tell you where you can go for more help and learn more and what to do next. All right, so we always talk about at Microsoft, Copilot is the UI for AI, and we truly believe that. So from an AI perspective and from an interacting with AI and interacting with agents, which I'll talk about in a second, we really feel that M365 Copilot and Teams and the Copilot app within your home portal is the way to interact with agents. So we love the fact that people are publishing agents into Teams, people are interacting with agents there, and we see that that's a really great conversational interface. Behind these agents and how you build these agents, most people pick Copilot Studio. That's actually a tool that's available today in GCC. So you can build agents. And by the way, don't worry, everything that I'm building will be in a GCC environment. So there will be no one left behind. This is not a commercial or worldwide tenant demo. This is straight up GCC. So I got you all. Don't worry. Underneath, like what's the foundational layer behind all of this agents and in agent management is something called the Copilot control system. So we do enable capabilities for folks and organizational admins to essentially control the agents that they're releasing, how people can build agents. So there's a great governance strategy and governance, features that you can actually implement within your organization, again, for controlling how agents get deployed and who can actually build them. So security is always top of mind for us. So what are agents? So whenever we talk about agents, we always think about, hey, like what's my specialist? Who's my assistant? Like if I could hire like an assistant who's a specialist in a certain amount of topics or a certain amount of key areas, like what would they be able to do? And that's really how I see agents within the AI world and within the Copilot world. So Copilot, which most Gov agencies have today, and if you don't have it in hand, it's available. It's just a matter of having your tenant configure it. But essentially, core Copilot M365 Copilot is how you can go interact and ask AI like, hey, what are the latest meeting notes? Can you summarize my latest conversations with Jane? There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do with a lot of your enterprise data already today with what I call regular plain Jane Copilot, right? Like M365 Copilot. But if you want to take it up a notch and build something that's a little bit more specialist in terms of how it takes your input, also how it provides you responses, that's what we call agents. So agents essentially are experts. They're trained specifically in topics. You write specific instructions on how they should respond to you. They have very specific knowledge sources. So like, where they actually get information from and how they respond to you is from a very specific place. It's not just all of your enterprise data. And you can define this all using Copilot Studio today, which is really, really exciting. So the official definition is, an agent uses generative AI or Gen AI, as some people call it, and LLMs, which are large language models, to essentially assist with really complex cognitive tasks. Agents can be in multiple languages. They can reside in multiple different channels, meaning like they can be on Teams, they can be on websites, they can be in SharePoint, they can be in Copilot itself. And they're able to query and reason over data sources that you specifically define. Again, that can be internal data sources or external. It's however you define it. And they can also dynamically trigger actions in your specific systems, your data systems. You can define those actions. You can define like how the agent actually interacts with the user. So if you want to have like a very specific response to certain questions that your users ask, you can absolutely define that today inside of your GCC environment for Copilot Studio. So when we look at how agents sort of extend the existing capability, again, we've got regular Copilot for M365, which already has a set of skills and knowledge. Some skills could be around, Excel, like help me create a pivot table, or in Outlook, like provide a summary from yesterday's emails. Like those are all great things that regular Copilot can do. But again, agents take that up a notch. So let's say you want to create a summary, pop that into a Word document every time your boss or your VP sends a newsletter. Again, you can absolutely do that with Copilot and GCC today. And so again, that takes it up a notch. It really customizes what you're trying to do within your enterprise data system. So super powerful stuff. It's just a matter of like, hey, how do we implement that idea into reality, right? And by the way, I use agents in my personal life very frequently as well. I won't get into it, but I love agents. I build them and create them all the time for things that I want to learn or things that I want to do in my personal life. It's a really, really powerful tool once you actually learn the skill. So again, we'll go through that today. So we categorize agents in 3 different ways today. So right now, what most people are familiar with are retrieval agents, and retrieval agents go they go search and retrieve, right? They go find something for you and bring it back to you in a very specific format or in a way that you want to see it. They are grounded in specific data. They're able to summarize. They're able to answer specific questions. They can also, again, answer in a very specific format. Those are simple agents. And again, what most people use agents for today. Then we have task-driven agents. So tasks are really like when you want to have an action. And what's super powerful here, again, when I talk about Copilot Studio, is matching that with workflows that you have available in Power Platform, where you can actually go perform actions. So just in the example that I spoke about before, let's say you get a newsletter from your VP, or from your CIO, CTO, whoever it may be, or your director in your division, and you want to go create a summary Word document to share with your team. Again, that would be a task. You can perform those actions. You can build all of that out in Copilot Studio. And so those agents do something for you, right? Instead of just searching and finding something for you, they actually go perform an action for you and make your life a little easier. I love these types of agents because I like to do work in the beginning so that I'm a little bit lazier in the future. So even if it means like focusing on something for like an hour or two and just getting these actions sort of built in an agent so that, again, I don't have to do that repetitively in the future, I am all game for that. I used to be a big PowerShell person back in the day, and I love, again, automating as much as I could just so that I don't have to do all that repetitive work in the future. And then the third agent, which we don't have available yet in GCC, but it's coming soon, is something called autonomous agents. So autonomous agents operate independently. They are actually based on triggers. So you can define a trigger where when that tripwire sort of hit, the agent can go perform an action on behalf of you or do something on behalf of you and give you a result, a response, or an answer without you having to interact with the agent yourself or initiating that interaction. So with retrieval and task, those agents, you start the conversation. You ask the question, you ask it to do something. Again, if you want it to retrieve information, it can. If you want it to go perform a task for you, it can. But autonomous agents, you don't have to actually interact with the agent to start the conversation. It can go operate on its own, perform actions for you, go find things for you based upon whatever tripwire or trigger that you've defined. So that's really, really exciting stuff. So that's more advanced, but again, all that coming soon to GCC. So here's some ideas. We have like a spectrum of agents. Again, we like to talk about more simple agents versus more advanced agents. We have a lot of government customers who are focusing right now on building and deploying an IT help desk agent. or even like doing project management tracking, or device refreshes is a big one, like, warranties, like tracking warranties and things like that for devices, looking that up. Most government customers have like a database or a table or something that they keep track of all this information. And so having an agent being able to peer into that knowledge or that data has been really, really useful, because then you can just go and ask the agent, hey, when is Rima due for her computer refresh, or when is her warranty about to expire? And it can provide a response based upon that knowledge source or data. And then we have, like, again, more advanced agents, which are like lead generation agents or customer support agents, which in US government, we're not going to have too much lead generation agents, but we might have more like statement of work agents, or things where we're doing around contracting or RFPs, or actually even writing SOWs. That seems to be a big one. So again, those might be a little bit more advanced depending on the interactions or the triggers that you're looking to define there. But having the idea, I think, is the hard part first, like knowing what you want to build first, and then having that come to fruition, and defining, hey, like, what do we want to ask this agent? How do we expect it to respond? That tends to be the tougher part. But once you have that down, smooth sailing from there. So here's some more ideas. Again, we love agents in Gov. We have had already a lot of Gov customers who have come to us with a myriad of ideas. More recently, we've had a Gov customer who wants to try to automate internally for their state and local government agency how they look through municipal codes and how they can search through municipal codes, and also how to write future municipal codes using agents. So that's a really exciting sort of off the cuff scenario, but super, super fun. Again, these tend to be more commonplace, the ones that I'm showing on the screen here. So customer service or finance, even government finance, right? It's or tracking financials, just for contracts and agencies overall. Really, really super great to have an agent to help you with that. HR also seems to be a really big one in Gov, and legal is also a very big glaring one, right? So everything that we do in government obviously has a legal component to it. So having an agent who can peer into regulatory and compliance details or source information to make sure that what we're writing or what we're creating does follow those legal implications is super, super key. So I call it fun, but it is actually kind of fun to be able to use some of these scenarios to just help make our lives a little bit easier whenever we're writing some of this stuff, and also to do double checks. So we always appreciate having like a human in the loop. Whenever you hear that from a Microsoft person, that means that, hey, we also want to make sure that people are still inside the process and double checking to make sure that, is this correct? So again, that's super key in what we do, and especially for legal, we want to make sure human in the loop is there. But it really does cut down the time in terms of like writing legal content or responding to legal content. It's super, super helpful, especially when it's got a really great data source to peer into. Okay, tools for building agents. Okay, great. So as I was talking about before, we do have Microsoft Copilot Studio inside of GCC. So Copilot Studio is a website. It is not a desktop application, which is exciting. It's you don't have to install anything, which is so easy, so key. And it's the platform where you can build your agent. It gives you a like WYSIWYG, meaning like what you see is what you get, interaction style for how you can build agents. And what I'm going to walk through today is actually doing just that. So we're actually going to use Copilot Studio in GCC to build an agent. Right. So Copilot Studio is part of the Power Platform. I don't know if folks have heard of Power Platform, but there's a bunch of different applications and features inside of Power Platform, and they all work together with Copilot Studio. So again, Copilot Studio is going to be your main interface where you build agents in GCC. You can absolutely connect that to Power Automate, which is your workflow process automation engine in the Power Platform world. I've built a lot of agents that work hand in hand together using, again, Power Automate, Copilot Studio. But also you can integrate any of the other Power Platform applications into your agent as well. And then something to notice or to say about Dataverse. So Dataverse is actually where your agents get stored. You can actually store additional content inside of Dataverse for your agent to go look at. It's a pretty powerful tool set, but it's got all of your storage for where your agent actually lives. So I get that question a lot. People are like, hey, like when I build an agent, where does it actually live? It lives in Dataverse, by the way, if it's built in Copilot Studio. So today in GCC, we've got two major tools available for building agents. So for makers and for developers, you can use Copilot Studio. But then we also have options of things that you can build in Azure AI and VS Code. So you can build pro code solutions if you so choose. You do have that option, that availability. But today we're going to focus mainly on Copilot Studio, just because there's so much power to it. There's so much that you can do, and it's a great way to get started when it comes to building agents. So I wanted to include this because I think it's so key. Sometimes people miss the Learn articles that we have regarding Gov, and we always have caveats, or try to always have caveats when it comes to Gov. But I wanted to include this in the slide deck just to show folks, hey, these are the links of where you would go to go access these applications inside your environment. So something to make note here is make sure you grab the URL. For example, in Copilot Studio, right, we've got gcc.powerva.microsoft.us, and that is a Copilot Studio link for Gov, for GCC. Obviously, GCC High is a little bit different. So make sure that when you're navigating through your GCC environment that you book these links, especially if you're in GCC today, you book these links in that middle column here, so that you're not going to other links, you're not accidentally hitting a commercial link or something like that, right? You just want to make sure you have all of this bookmarked. When I share my screen, you're actually going to see that I have all this bookmarked as well. It just makes things a lot easier without having to navigate through the Microsoft world to actually find the link. So again, if these links ever get updated, you make sure to actually visit the Learn article that I have linked below. You will get these slides at the end, so don't worry if you don't have time to copy the entire link here. So just to summarize, again, so with GCC and with Copilot Studio, you can absolutely build custom agents, powerful agents inside of GCC. I love hearing when people are like, oh, I can't do anything, or there's nothing here. I'm like, no, there actually is. And so when we just take people through the process, a lot of people just, their minds are like completely blown, like, oh my gosh, we had no idea we had the capability to do all of this. You absolutely do. So again, just to summarize, so in Copilot Studio, you can actually collaboratively build your agent with other folks in your organization. You can test it out together. You can also publish it into teams, which I will show today as well. You can design personalized and responsive interactions, meaning you can include adaptive card responses in how your agent responds, which are really pretty, and you can make them really pretty. You can include pictures and nice, fun text. So it's just a really nice way to interact with your users. You can boost conversations with your knowledge, so you include custom knowledge sources, which is really great. We actually had a customer who used actually the SQL connector to go connect to their SQL database to essentially bring in some of that knowledge and that data to go query against it. So that's been really exciting and fun to see that. Again, you can also easily handle complex queries, and you have authoring controls. Really, again, so much power inside of Copilot Studio to go through that. And again, with the Copilot control system, you'll be able to monitor, govern, provide those governance policies to your agent, and so that you can make sure, hey, like, are you controlling the way that people build agents or what they can build? So that is there today, and one of my colleagues does a really, really great session on that. So maybe that'll be a follow-on to this. Okay, so let's get in to building our first agent. I flew through that beginning part because I wanted to make sure we had enough time for this. So feel free, if you want, to just take a look, follow along. If you want to try to build your own agent, like while I'm doing this, I'll try to post the instructions and things in the chat so that folks can actually do it live with us. But let me switch screens here and share your screen. Okay. All right, so let me know if folks can actually see my screen. Good?
Yep, we got you, Rhea.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so the agent that we're going to be building today is actually grounded in some web data. And so let me show you the website that we're actually going to be going to. So I love this website. It's called the Microsoft Work Lab website. And it talks about trends in AI. It's not specific to Copilot. It's just about generic, hey, this is where AI is taking us in the future. And I love this because I feel like this website makes me sound so much smarter than I really am. And so I have built this agent actually in my work environment. I use this quite often actually to go query this website to learn, key trends and kind of get some concise summary so that I can sound smart when people ask me like, Rima, hey, what's the latest trend? Like, where do you think AI is going? And I'm like, let me just ask my agent and I'll find out. So this is a great way to do that. Again, this is an example of an external public website that anybody can access. You can build the same agent with an internal website or internal URL that you've got. So again, what's going to be interesting here is how the instructions are set up and how the process works. But again, you can use your own data and knowledge if you like. But for this example, we're using the Microsoft Work Lab site. All right, so Copilot Studio, as you can see, my URL says gcc.powerva.microsoft.us. So I am actually in a GCC environment. So here's the Copilot Studio homepage. When I want to go build an agent, I'm actually going to go hit the create button on the left-hand side and then hit new agent. And what happens in GCC is that it takes you directly to a configuration screen and it's blank, obviously. So we need to fill in the blanks. I'm going to give you all of the content that you need to actually fill in the blanks. But the first thing we're going to actually name this agent is we're going to call it Work Lab AI. I'm going to change the icon just because it's fun. Why not? Let me see. I'll change it this one. Hopefully this one works. Okay. And by the way, fun tip, if you're looking for an icon for your agent, you can absolutely go ask M365 Copilot to generate a PNG icon for you that's less than 30 kilobytes in size. I have done that. It works great. You can tell it to have a modern theme, be colorful, include logos, what have you, and it'll generate that icon for you. So this icon right here is actually an AI generated icon. So I am not this design worthy by any means. So I cannot take any credit for this icon. Okay. Then in the description field, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste a description, and I'm going to paste it also in the chat so folks know what I'm doing here. So description is, and it looks really big. Sorry, I just pasted it in there. Sorry for the formatting here, but I've included a description where it says, the AI agent is specialized, intelligent assistant designed to help professionals stay ahead of emerging trends, blah, 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 blah. This description just describes what your agent does. It doesn't have to be that long, but it should kind of talk about, its goals and like what it's meant to do. And then we have the meat and potatoes here, which is the instructions. And this is what matters the most. So again, I will give you all of this text in the slide deck as well, but I will copy and paste the instructions here. Let's see, okay, I'm trying to do this live, so. Okay, so there's the instructions right there that I just pasted in the chat, and I'll paste this in here as well, so you'll see these are the instructions that I just included, that I just pasted in our chat, and it's got a couple of key things here. So it's got an objective that says what's the agent's objective. It also has, I'm sorry, I know I'm scrolling here. It has the scope of information, it has behavior and capabilities, and then also like tone, and then also like constraints, like what we don't want it to do. Now, folks may notice that there's like a star next to some of these like topics and areas. Anytime you have a star at the beginning or end of like a sentence or of a subject, or like I guess a category inside your instructions, that's telling the agent to like really pay attention to this and that this is important. It's very, very, very important. And so there will be a link on how to write really good instructions. I'll paste that also in the slide deck as well. But yeah, so that's explained all in here. But instructions are super key. Being clear about the behavior, being super clear about how you want it to respond, being super clear about what content you want it to go look at. Again, all very, very important. And sometimes this is a talent that takes a little while to kind of get, used to or accustomed to. And so it's all trial and error. Even my job today, it's all trial and error. So don't feel ashamed if you don't know how to write instructions right away. I'm still learning today, like, best practices and things that I find work for me. So again, feel free to have fun and play around with it, and change sentences or remove sentences, add things, and see how the agent responds. I know we have a question from Kat, and Kat, I don't know if there's any way we could wait until the end for the question, or if you want to. Oh, you did put it in the chat. Is this in markdown format? No, this is actually just in text format. So it shouldn't be in markdown. So you should be okay. Thank you so much, Kat. Okay, and then finally, we're going to include the URL to the Work Lab site on the knowledge section right here. So I'm going to go click on Add Knowledge, and then I'm going to go to Public Website, and then I'm going to paste the link here, and I'm going to hit Add. And even though I'm not the owner, I'm just going to confirm so I can use the Bing search connector here, and hit Add. And there we go. We have our knowledge source right there. So once I'm done naming it, providing the icon, including a description, writing the instructions, and adding the knowledge source, I'm ready to hit create. Yes, and yeah, while this is publishing, yes, Chris. So yeah, you can use any website, any public website you want as a primary source. Again, there's configurations that I've done in GCC to allow, because what it's actually using is the Bing search connector to actually go search websites and bring that data in. You can configure that in GCC. I think by default it was turned off, but I was able to turn that on. There's a couple of settings, and we don't cover that here in this session, but we can cover that as a follow-on. But there are a couple of settings that I enabled in the Power Platform Admin Center and in the M365 Copilot admin screen as well. So, okay, so now we have our agent. Now there's a couple of different configurations that I want to make as like a final configuration before I publish this thing. And so if you scroll down, you'll actually notice there's a toggle right here that says allow the AI to use its own general knowledge. And I want to turn this off. And there's a reason why I want to do this. That's because I want this agent to only use this website as a knowledge source. Okay, so essentially, I don't want this agent to go create or generate answers from other sites or from other knowledge it's got. I want it to only use this website and only use the knowledge sources I have posted. And to do that, disabling this toggle is going to be super, super key. Now, the other thing too is that I'm not, I'm not going to add any actions today yet. We can, again, do that as a follow-on call, but I'm keeping this simple. This agent is just very basic. It's got a website that it's going to, and we've got some core instructions as to how we want the agent to act. And so I'm going to go publish this agent now that I'm done, and I'm going to hit publish right here. Yeah, so Kat, the two asterisks before and after essentially provide the agent with the ability to say, hey, like whatever is in this line or whatever is stated here is super, super important. And so again, I'll provide the Microsoft Learn article that actually references that. But it essentially allows the agent to say, to understand that within the instructions that line or whatever's in that category of instructions is super, super important. Okay, great. So I've published my agent. Now, something to do to, like whenever you're testing your agent, because you've got a little like right pane or right panel here that you can test, anytime you make changes to your agent in this overview screen or any of these tabs up here, you want to make sure that you hit the refresh button just so that it has the latest and greatest changes anytime you test your changes. So I can say, provide me with a detailed summary on the latest podcast. And what's really interesting about the WorkLab site is that it has the full transcripts of all of the podcasts that they host on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And so this agent can actually go grab a summary from that transcript and provide that to you. And what's really cool is that it also provides the reference for you here so you can go and look at the source material, source content that it's pointing to. So this is really awesome. I know the host was Molly Wood, guest was Keswin, right? It has a summary, quick summary. And again, it provides me like more details here, how I can, go double check that. Okay, now, if you want to publish and interact with this agent in Teams, I'll show you what to do. I'll show you the finished product just because it takes a few minutes for all of this to sort of commit. So I want to make sure that I'm saving enough time for more details later. But if you want to publish this agent into Teams, you will go to Channels, the Channels tab up here at the top. And as you can see, you have this Microsoft Teams option right here. So if you go here, you can turn on Teams so that this agent can actually get published to Teams. So I can go say, hey, go turn on Teams for this agent. And then once that's done, you can actually go and configure it. So there's two places to go configure the Teams connection here. So there's the edit details portion where you can actually change the color of the icon or change the icon itself. It doesn't inherently grab the icon from Copilot Studio. So you will have to go, grab your own icon and do that here. You can also write your own short description or long description, and then you can also check the box to allow your users to add the agent to a team versus just interact with it on one-on-one. There's also all these other, like Teams app options that you can modify and change here. What this essentially is doing in Copilot Studio, it's packaging up your agent, creating that zip file that is known to be a Teams app, and it's deploying it for you. So where I've had success here is actually deploying it to the organizational app store, and then having the Teams app, Teams admin actually publish it on behalf of me. And so where you can do that is under availability options. I can show to everyone in my org, and if I do that, I can actually submit for admin approval, and then an admin would go into the Teams Admin Center, unblock the app, approve the app, and then would make it available to everybody. So essentially, what that would look like is, let's go to here, Teams. Let's see. I'll show you what it looks like in Teams once it's like fully done and provisioned. So here's Teams. And so if I go to apps and built for your org, I can see all of the agents. I actually built this one last night just to make sure that everything was good. So you'll see all the agents that your colleagues have built that have been approved by the admin. And so again, that would show up in the built for your org section. And so this is an agent essentially that that you've just built in Copilot Studio, and you can interact with it. So and as you can see, like here, I asked this earlier today, provide me a summary of the latest podcast, and it did that. So some pretty cool. So essentially the same agent that you're interacting here with Teams is what you've built on Copilot Studio, which is really, really awesome. Okay. And then something to note here too, that when you're publishing your agent or when you turn on the Teams channel here, if you're using a test environment or if you're using, a browser-based experience, and you don't have Teams desktop or you're not working with your native Teams desktop client, the link to open the agent actually won't work. And also the availability options where you copy the link and send it to a user. If they want to try to interact with it on Teams on the web, it won't necessarily work. It's something that they have to actually have Teams desktop for. So in my environment, I'm on my Microsoft laptop. I'm actually using an Edge profile for GCC specifically. And so because my Teams desktop client is actually for Microsoft, my corporate, and not for GCC, that's part of the reason why I can't right now go to copy link. But if you do have Teams desktop and you're working with Copilot Studio on the web, if you copy the link or share with users, all of this should work and should be fine. But again, in my environment, just because I have a mixed sort of account environment, that's why I can't necessarily copy link and go paste it and go interact with it that way. Another option you could do too, if you want to sideload the app, you can download the zip and sideload this agent, to your environment. You can also give the zip file to your colleagues as well, so that they can upload it into their team's environment. And so that would be if under apps you have the ability to manage your apps in Teams, and then you can upload an app, and this is where you would upload your zip file. Something to note, if you do make changes to the agent, just make sure you reshare your zip file with your friends and your colleagues so they have the latest and greatest, and they can re-upload and update the app if there's some major changes there. So it doesn't automatically update, just if you download the zip file. Something to note. Okay, let's see. Let's switch over to the slides again. I want to make sure I have time for questions as well. So let's share screen here. There we go. All right. So what can you do next? So my team, we actually work with strategic gov customers. We do help in terms of understanding like how you want to envision your agent, how you should design your agent, how you should develop. We are technical SMEs in terms of providing guidance around this. So if your organization is struggling as to like where to start or how to begin or what agents you should build, feel free to reach out to your Microsoft representative, either your account team or one of the customer program managers that work with us on CAPE. We are happy to help really kind of go deep in the weeds, understand your architecture, and kind of help you move forward as quickly as possible. So we are here to help as technical SMEs to get you started on your journey. And we've already had quite a few customers reach out to us. So the sooner you reach out to us, probably the better, just because our docket keeps on getting larger and larger and not smaller. So it's usually first come, first serve. So come sign up with us and join us if you can. And something else that I wanted to highlight too, again, whenever customers come to us, we love understanding like the why, right? So this is a great sort of template that shows why do you want your solution to exist, who is the solution for, and what the solution does, and mapping all of this to problem statements, having some lightly written personas or user stories really helps us guide you in the right direction. So again, having these three components of like what you want to build and why you want to do it and who it's for, super key in the process. An additional thing when it comes to AI, what I love asking customers to just write down in a Word doc or wherever, what have you, is questions you plan on asking the agent. Like, what do you want to ask the agent? Like, and how are you expecting it to respond? If you want the agent or users to be able to ask the agent, like, how much time off do I have? Or like, what's my vacation balance? Like, jot that down and then also jot down what you think the agent is going to respond with or how it's going to respond like and where that data is coming from. That's also super helpful in us helping you develop your architecture and design of the agent, understanding what connectors need to be included in the agent. And again, like, what is and what isn't possible. So again, super helpful for any technical folks and also any end users too who have ideas for agents. You can use this format. It seems to be a really great and succinct way to tackle the problem statement, right? And then finally, we also have the Copilot scenario library. So if you're completely stuck on, I don't even know where to begin, I don't even know what agents I could possibly build, the Copilot scenario library is actually really great resources. I love it. It's also got some supporting slide decks with like user flows. Sometimes I will even repurpose what they have on this website for my own use case. So I'll just like delete like what they have in there and just like rewrite my own like flow. It's just a really great format and also prompts me to think, hey, like, am I considering all the options that I need to include in this agent? So again, gives you some ideas, gives you some images and pictures, gives you some personas as examples. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can absolutely use this wheel and just sort of edit it, which is a great tip and trick. So And finally, this is the last slide of the deck, I promise, and then we'll go to questions because I know there's some burning questions here. But if you want to learn more, there are a ton of learn material here. The thing that I really want to highlight and point out is the last link on this slide. So thank you to Steve Winward, who actually started this GitHub page. It's the GCC agent templates. He already has some templates, some canned templates there that you can use in Copilot Studio. I was looking through that earlier today. He's got some cool idea. Like there's a weather agent on there, which is just a fun agent template to play around with. By any means, like just feel free to take a look at that. He's got some really great insight and information on there. And the Copilot Studio blog is a great one also to follow. Anything new that comes out with Copilot Studio, or if you're thinking about, hey, is that available in GCC? Or if you don't see it, again, let your account team know. Just there might be a way to get to that said feature without having, without the expected UI. Because again, things are sometimes always, I shouldn't say so always, so things are sometimes different in Gov and the GCC environment. So we are able to accomplish a lot. Sometimes it's just a matter of configuration. So I know I'll pause there. I wanted to make sure that I had at least 10 minutes for questions, or if folks wanted me to re-demo anything, I'm happy to do so. So I'll stop there, but thank you everybody for attending today. And I know this was a quick one. Okay, so Jason, I think I'm going to go through some of the questions in the chat. Sounds good? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry,
So,
folks. I missed my mute button there. Yes, by all means, yes. Come back through it. If anybody has any specific questions and would like to come off mic or come off mute, please do raise your hand. Right.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing here for a second.
Right,
so
Kat.
Yeah, Kat, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yep.
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. I kind of just wanted to follow up on the question that I asked a little bit earlier about the Markdown format. It does look like that is done in Markdown, and I did find the documentation for it, but I kind of also just wanted to maybe provide a little bit of like maybe guidance as well. So I guess it's not super a question, but kind of piggybacks off of the other question. So like in my experience working with like other agents and like building and deploying them, this is like very, very much a lot easier than like what I've had to do in the past. But I would just say that like learning how to use Markdown format is going to be like very, very useful when trying to create these instructions for these agents, and also like being as articulate as possible. One of the things that like I've seen be an issue with agents is sometimes they do delineate behavior, so they make mistakes or they can have unpredictable outcomes. And so having like little like training wheels or like things in place to make sure that these agents can't actually make too many decisions, because they can really mess things up.
Yeah, so Kat, thank you. So the reason why I'm saying it's not marked down just in GCC is because 9 times out of 10 in enterprise, in like the worldwide, what's it called, tenant, when you copy and paste this, yes, it does recognize markdown, and it actually bolds those items, right? Because it'll recognize the star as like a bold. So we'll actually format it for you. But here it's actually taking the straight text. So I think GCC is just ever so slightly different, where it's not recognizing the markdown yet, but in the future it should. So that's the only reason why I said for this, it's not necessarily understanding or recognizing the markdown, at least from what I've seen through the Copilot UI and UX for GCC versus enterprise.
Because it's a clear text interpreter, but it is markdown.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see. And then Kim, I think you had a question. I think you had your hand up really quick, Kim, but maybe not. Okay. Cole, Waldet Cole, let's see.
Feel free to come off your mic, Waldet.
Great, thank you. My question is about the delivery date for the autonomous agent. And then,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, in your second.
And then my second question was, in creating the agents, I found that sometimes it seems like there's a hierarchy in terms of the knowledge base, like where it searches first to give you the answer. And I don't know if there's some kind of reasoning around that you could also give some insight to.
Yeah, okay, great question. I'll answer, well, I'll answer in order for you first. So I don't have a date on when autonomous agents are coming yet, but hopefully we'll have more details in the future. We'll try to post some of that stuff when it becomes public in the public sector blogs and things like that. So stay tuned for that. But regarding paying attention to the right knowledge sources, great question. So there's a couple of different ways you can do that in Copilot Studio. The first way, obviously, is through defining clear instructions. So in this instructions that I have here, that again, I'm going to share with you at the end, we say, hey, here's a primary source of information. You can also say, hey, don't go outside of this website, like only search this website in the instructions. But then also toggling off the what's it called? The allow the AI to use its own general knowledge toggle, and I can share my screen again here. That is super key to make sure that it's only using this site as, this site as a knowledge source. So right, as I'm clicking all over the place here, so right here, I toggled this off, this setting right here off, because if I turn it on, it can go to other sites outside of this. But again, if you focus this on just using this site here. Now, if you want to get a little bit more complex, and we didn't talk about this today, but you do have topics that show up here inside of Copilot Studio. If you create a custom topic, you can also pare it down even further as to say which knowledge source that topic goes to. And then it also in your knowledge tab, once you have more than one knowledge source available, you can actually reference and make sure which one is the official source of knowledge and which one isn't. So there's ways to sort of game the system, so to speak, to make sure that it's only looking at this as a knowledge source. So I don't know if that's helpful. All that to
Yeah, no,
help here.
thank you. I
Sure.
also noticed that if I had, for example, let's say a SharePoint library, and then I had some Excel documents and then Word or whatever. For whatever reason, sometimes I felt like it would read Excel first, even though maybe the answer could have also been found in that SharePoint library. So I don't know if there's anything along those as well.
Yeah, I don't have any insights. A lot of times it's about how you generate or like how you describe your topic. So
Okay.
maybe this is a good like reason to actually do a follow-on session where we kind of dive deeper into topics in Copilot Studio and topic disambiguation and sort of how to like write your best life topics of like how to make sure that Copilot Studio knows which topic to go to, and also how to trigger that topic and what that topic does. Maybe that's a good feedback for a follow-on session. So we'll take note of that, and maybe our next session we'll do some of that. So thank you for the idea. That's a great idea.
Rima, real quick
Yeah.
before we jump to Josh. Josh, you're on deck here. There was a question in chat, and I wanted to bring it up because I thought it'd be easy for you to address.
Yeah.
We specifically showed, building in Studio, sideloading into Teams. At present, what other endpoints are possible from a GCC environment to publish out these agentic solutions from Studio and platform?
Oh, you mean from here specifically?
Yes.
That's a great question. I have not tested out the rest of the scenarios here. I think web app was actually going to be one that I was going to test out here soon. I haven't tested them out personally. I don't like to give like my little stamp of approval until I've interacted with it and worked with it specifically. So I don't know which ones yet, but I can play around and come back. Again, we can do that as a follow-on topic as well.
And I think, and Lawrence, this was for your question. What it comes down to is, yes, you can place it elsewhere. I forget where there's a link that you can go to just directly test the agent from a web connection, and I forget what that one is. And I think he's referencing that as well, where you can click on it. It has just a Azure formatted front door piece you can hit. Okay, so yes, Lawrence, you will be able to. Those publishing options will continue to improve and expand as we release more components of the agentic architecture that exists in commercial today that we're waiting on for GCC. And hopefully we will be catching up to that through the remainder of this calendar year with a big intake, hopefully this summer, maybe. Fingers crossed, we'll see. But yeah, that was that. Okay, Josh, you are up, sir. And your mic should be open.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So with Copilot or M365 Copilot or even Copilot Chat, you can just paste in a web URL if you've got web grounding turned on and like have a similar experience. Because like in your demo, you were just like going out to a website, right? What would be like the kind of key differences between or decision points for customers like, okay, between just, you know, pasting in a URL, putting in a prompt, comparatively to like using Copilot Studio? Like, what would be some of the advantages of using Copilot Studio in that kind of scenario?
Using Copilot Studio versus like another tool to build agents, or maybe I didn't understand the question. Sorry, Josh.
So yeah, in Copilot Studio, like you can put in a web URL for it to ground out to, right? And so, you know, you were using that. I can't remember the name of that website, but sorry, I'm in my car. But I was like, for some customers, the decision is like, okay, we could use M365 Copilot, and you can say based on, and then you put in a web URL, and then you put in a prompt, and then
now I know
it can deliver like the same kind of results that I've seen in Studio.
Yes.
So like, what are some of the decision
differences?
points to help customers, you know, between like, oh, let's use Copilot or Copilot Chat for this and that? No, we should probably use Studio. You know, like what are some of the advantages you get with Studio in that scenario?
Well, I'll tell you the big decision right now is that you can't actually use like generative AI or descriptions essentially to automatically generate your agent today in neither Copilot Studio, and we don't have that capability yet inside of M365 Copilot in GCC. So that's a big decision factor. It's like, well, from a low code perspective, you only have Copilot Studio available today. That's a big one. But even working with commercial customers, I would say 90% of them are actually using Copilot Studio to build agents because of the control and the power that you have and the ability to define connections and actions and things like there's just a lot more that you can do in Copilot Studio than, you know, building agents through M365 Copilot, which again, we don't have in GCC today, but we do have in commercial, because those agents tend to be simpler. So even though we have like all these options available in commercial, we still see our commercial customers doing the same thing and building agents in Copilot Studio, the same thing that GCC has access to. So it's kind of sort of like a win-win in a weird way, because that's what we have available, but that's also what most people are using. So I don't know, Josh, if that helps. I'm happy to answer like more detailed or more scenario questions offline, because I know we're right at the top of the hour. So anyways, I just wanted to thank everybody.
I was going to say, if I want to get that on my test tenant, on my GCC test tenant, do I just need to add a Copilot Studio license and just so that we can have it on our test tenants?
Yeah, and we can definitely, Josh, we can reach out and talk about that offline. But yes, yeah, and that should be free, so that shouldn't be a problem. Thank you everyone for joining. Super appreciate it. Great questions, great ideas for follow-on sessions. Jason, thank you for having me, and I hope everyone has a really great afternoon.